It's become fairly commonplace in the entertainment industry to race swap fictional characters, and oftentimes they come up with the same excuse, well, it was just the best person for the job, we really want to see representation. Oftentimes, it's solely for the purpose of identity politics. But over the last several years, now people are actually trying to race swap historical figures, actual people that exist in history. And whether it's passed off as something for entertainment purposes, or whether it's like in this case with Netflix, it's passed off as some historical fact, when in reality it couldn't be further from the truth. Nevertheless, people are incredibly outraged about this, and Netflix is facing tons of backlash after making Cleopatra black in Jada Pinkett Smith's new Netflix series. Netflix turns off comments on Cleopatra trailer amid backlash over depicting Queen as black. And we talked about this the other day. You can see the ratios only got worse. Nearly 300,000 dislikes at this point to only 25,000 likes. And yes, they have turned the comments off because they are cowards. And the backlash doesn't just stop there. They're actually being sued. Netflix is being sued in Egypt because, spoiler alert, there's a lot of Egyptians and even Egyptian scholars and experts that are furious about this because Cleopatra was not black. They know this. They've known this for a long time. Every single depiction of her, every single description, and her lineage, she was of Greek descent. There's no arguments about that among actual scholars, only by activists out there. But that hasn't stopped Netflix from doing this. That hasn't stopped Jada Pinkett Smith from admitting there's not enough stories about black queens, so we basically wanted to make sure we showed Cleopatra as black because a lot of people would like to see themselves in that. It's an absolute joke. And now the director is lashing out. The director's explaining herself and saying, I can't believe that people would be so upset about this. Queen Cleopatra director Tina Garavi addresses Adele James casting backlash. The docuseries director believes it's more likely that Cleopatra looked like Adele than Elizabeth Taylor ever did. Well, ironically, that's not quite true. Just to be real with you, Elizabeth Taylor is probably closer to reality than what this docu-series, they're calling it a docu-series, is trying to pass itself off as. This is why they're getting sued, right? This is why people in Egypt are furious, because they're presenting this as fact. They're not presenting it as for entertainment purposes, we're race swapping her. They're trying to present it as if this is a reality, when it's absolutely not. And when your first line, because she wrote this article, right? Look at this article that she wrote for Variety, exclusive by the director herself. Queen Cleopatra director speaks out. What bothers you so much about a black Cleopatra? The fact that you're saying a black Cleopatra, it's because you're changing it. You're race swapping this thing. You're trying to make up this story about a historical figure because you think the only way you can see value in that is if her skin color matches what you believe it should be, not the truth. But in doing so, you're trying to change history. And a lot of people, obviously, in Egypt are not very happy about this because they're trying to pass this off as reality when it wasn't. And look at even how this person starts. This is the director, by the way. Last summer, I was living in Venice Beach and decided, due to a friend's persistence, to visit a fortune teller. Me, ever the skeptic, but game for a laugh, agreed to go along. What the fortune teller made me roll my eyes, or what she told me made me roll my eyes. I'm not saying you are Cleopatra, but somehow you share her story and are connected. That's how the director decides to start out this story. She decides to start it out with, I went to a fortune teller and they told me that I'm connected to Cleopatra in some way. And then all of a sudden, Jada Pinkett Smith called me out of the blue and offered me this job for African queens. She even goes on to say, I knew it would be a very overtly political act to depict her as black, but I felt it was something that I needed to do. Why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? And why do some people need Cleopatra to be white? Her proximity to whiteness seems to give her value. And for some Egyptians, it seems to really matter. How brain dead could you be? It's not that they need her to be white, it's that she was of Greek descent. You're trying to change history. That's why people are speaking out, especially Egyptians. That's why Egyptians are speaking out. It's not about the fact that she's white. If she was black and tried to change her to white, they'd be saying the same things because you are trying to inherently change history. Perhaps it's not just that I've directed a series that portrays Cleopatra as black, but I've asked Egyptians to see themselves as Africans. They are furious at me for this. I am okay with this. Come on. How brain dead can you be? I've asked Egyptians to see themselves as Africans and they're furious at me for that. Not everybody in Africa has the same skin color. Not everybody in Africa is exactly the same, but you're trying to pretend like they should be okay with you changing history. I am proud to stand with Queen Cleopatra, a reimagined Cleopatra, and with the team that made this. We reimagined a world over 2,000 years ago where there was an exceptional woman who ruled. You are admitting that you're changing this. You're admitting that you're reimagining it. You're admitting that this is not the real depiction, but you're trying to pass it off. And you're pretending like anybody that has a problem with it. Why would they ever have a problem with that? This history is people's history. I feel like if someone did a biopic and wanted to make Martin Luther King Jr. white, I think a lot of people would rightly so have a problem with that. Because now you're not just changing fictional characters, you are changing actual history. And the vast majority of people do not like this. They don't like what you're trying to do, the message you're trying to send, that, you know what, we want more black queens in history, so we're just gonna make them up. And if you don't like it, you're just a racist. If you're an Egyptian who's furious about this, why are you so mad at me? Because you're changing people's history. That is why people have a problem with it. I think the backlash for this is just going to continue to get worse, especially when you have the director putting out nonsensical articles just like this to try to respond to the backlash. It's going to get worse. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.